Show. Dwayne Generalissimo Patterson, thanks for being with us today, sir.
Sorbo, try and beat this. I dare you.
You're just the Sorbo warm-up act, dude.
I'm just jealous.
See you later, Dwayne.
Bye.
All right, coming up next, we'll be calling Kevin Sorbo. I'm going to call him right this second here, and we'll see if we can't pull up the number here. And let's see. Make sure I dialed that right. By the way, thanks for being with us today here. I'm calling Kevin Sorbo, star of Alongside Night.
Hey, Kevin, leave a message. I'll call you back. Thanks.
At the tone, please record.
Okay, it looks like Kevin is away from his phone. Let's do this. Let's play a little clip of Kevin. We're going to give it a minute and try calling back. I'll explain all of the different struggles that we've had trying to get Kevin scheduled up here, but let's play this clip from the movie Alongside Night, starring Kevin Sorbo and coming out very soon.
And homelessness have never been worse in the second Great Depression. Once the U.S. federal government began paying off foreign creditors with funds the Federal Reserve Bank created out of nothing, our economic security and civil liberties were both doomed.
All right, we're back, and that was Kevin Sorbo and Alongside Night. We are going to go ahead and give him a call back in just a moment, but just to go over some of the particulars of this Alongside Night. Alongside Night Movie is the website for this. You can also get links then to the titles and credits, the graphic novel, the links. They also have a website from tug.com, which where the screenings can be found for the film, because this is sort of a grassroots effort in rolling out this film. They're going to actually be premiering this at the National Libertarian Convention, next month, June 26th, I believe that is. And so they'll be premiering it there. This is a fairly well-known novel from Neil Schulman. It was written in the late 1970s, I think 1979. And this is about, it's sort of like a bit of a modern day Atlas Shrugged, a bit like that. So it's an interesting book, and I think it'll be interesting to see how well they make it into a film. We'll go ahead and give Kevin one more try and see if we can get him on the phone, because we certainly like to talk to Kevin about this. And just for S's and G's, should be noted that Kevin has actually I've had to reschedule this a couple times with Kevin because of my own issues, because we had missed connections on a couple of times. And then of course I had strep throat, and I was trying to schedule around that, and we ended up having to boot the thing twice. So we were trying to squeeze into Kevin's schedule today. We'll go ahead and get one more try and see if we can't get that in there. If not, maybe we'll try giving Guy Benson a call early. Yeah, I have issues. What a shock. What a shock that would be, that I have issues.
Hello?
Hello, is this Kevin Sorbo?
It is Kevin Sorbo.
Hi, this is Ed Morrissey from Hot Air, and we're on the air on the Ed Morrissey Show. Thanks for...
Hey, Ed, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing good, and I just want to thank you for being patient and being gracious about rescheduling this thing a couple of times around various issues that had arisen here on my end. But it's great to talk with you again, and thanks for taking some time with us today.
No problem.
Your new film, I want to talk about your new film first. Alongside Night is going to be premiering next month at the Libertarian Convention. I think June 26th is the date on that. And this is a film that is based on a very well-known futuristic science fiction novel Tell us a little bit about what attracted you on this particular project.
Well, I mean, I love politics. I love getting in debates. I love having time with people that disagree with me, and I don't have that anger issue that most people do on the opposite sides of the political fence. So I actually get a kick out of watching them go crazy at each other. But I just, I'm one of those guys. I think it just suffers a little bit of common sense and looks at the world a little more real than other people do. And the script is they had some of that storyline into it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's futuristic. It's sci-fi-ish. It's got a comedy to it. It could mix a lot of things. It's poking fun at a really a tragic situation of what our country is doing to itself. But as Jimmy Buffett said, you got to find comedy in all tragedies as well. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy.
Well, I completely agree with that, and yes, I think that our ability to do that helps us to keep those things in perspective. This film takes, first off, it was written, the book that it was based on was written in the late 1970s when, quite frankly, we were seeing some of the same economic issues that we're seeing today in terms of currency devaluement and government intervention in economies and the mess that makes. We're seeing that again. So this is coming out at a pretty interesting time, Kevin.
Yeah, it's interesting. You had President Carter when he wrote it, and you got President Obama now. So wow, shocking. And we've got similar economies with. I think the press today does a lot of holding back what we probably certainly have with double-digit unemployment, double-digit inflation. But in today's modern media, things get hidden quite a bit from the rest of the world and the rest of the American public, which is too bad.
Well, it is, and sometimes it's easier to approach these things in terms of a fiction entertainment that acts as an analogy to what's going on, rather than to just do a documentary about what actually is going on. It allows an audience to draw their own conclusions, to draw their own parallels to what's happening. This is an interesting subject matter because of the libertarian approach, which is not something that you'd normally see coming from the entertainment industry.
Oh, certainly not. I mean, Hollywood very rarely even goes into anything, to the right of being a liberal, really. So it's just areas they don't like to touch. And every time they have a president, every time they have a political show, it doesn't really matter what it is to do with politics. It always has to deal that it's a Democrat that's running the country. It's a Democrat that's the good guy. The Republicans are the evil guys. So the media, through the last 30 or 40 years, has done a wonderful job of basically brainwashing the public into believing that anybody who is right of center, even if you're center, you're the cancer for the world. You're the cancer for the country. And I don't know. I keep asking people. I go, show me where socialism has ever worked anywhere. That's why history repeats itself. Because people, the next generations come along and they didn't have to live under that. So they go, oh, this doesn't sound great. We're all the same. We're all equal. I keep telling people, I go, I'll never be as smart as Bill Gates. I'll never be as good a golfer as Tiger Woods. We're not equal. We're different in different ways, in so many different ways. We just have to find what we excel in and what we're best at. But we are certainly not equal in that way. And I don't begrudge people that have success in this world. I used to caddy at this private country club as a kid, and every one of these guys, pretty wealthy guys, and every one of them I asked, how did you get to where you are? And I'm a 17-year-old kid, and they're telling me that they failed, and that failure didn't scare them. They failed again, and failure didn't scare them. And that's the trouble, I think, with the vast majority of people, not only in this country but the world. They let their fear hold them back. It's the old FDR saying, right? The only thing to fear is fear itself. And
Yep.
There's so much truth to that. And I find that in today's society, the same thing. So people would rather just, blame everybody else for their failures, blame the economy, blame the rich people, blame people that are successful for the world's problems. I mean, it's really, it's sad and it's scary to me. But, here's a movie that just sort of points out kind of where we're headed right now.
In at least a sort of a similar fashion as Atlas Shrugged, with government trying to control things, the producers, the people who are the entrepreneurial class, I guess might be a good way of putting this, end up providing a type of American revolution or even a global revolution in alongside night. Now, you were describing this as a science fiction, as also science fiction. Other than the fact that Hollywood actually is addressing a theme other than liberalism, which is almost science fiction in and of itself, Kevin, what is the science fiction aspect of this?
Well, it just really deals with there's so many different storylines in this. I mean, mine I guess could be considered the anchor story. I mean, it's really my son in the movie that drives this. I mean, he's more of a central character in the movie than I am, in the role of Elliot. And he goes undercover for me and goes to really just sort of work our way through out of the system, because we put all our money into gold. We're getting the heck out of the country. It's totally fallen apart. The government is taken over completely, and things you're seeing even right now. I mean, the government is I've got connections and through people that work at Walmart, and they're saying, I'll tell you right now, when they show up with bullets, the government is there buying about 80% of every boatload of these bullets that are coming. Why are they buying up all these bullets? Why are they buying up all the ammunition? I mean, we can get the whole Oliver Stone conspiratorial theories, but it's interesting to see that all this stuff is going on within our government. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They're controlling more in the classroom for education. And our public education gets what? It gets worse. Everything the government seems to put their hands on doesn't seem to work. And the post office, is another example.
Another good example, yes. Or for instance, this week, the VA.
Pardon? Go ahead.
I was going to say, or instance, this week, as we're finding out last week and this week, the Department of Veterans Affairs clearly is not working.
It just keeps mounting. I mean, you look at this current president, I mean, there's more scandals. I mean, we got rid of Nixon for Watergate. Good Lord. The IRS scandal is huge compared to Watergate. The Benghazi thing is huge. And now you got the thing with the veterans hospitals, and you've got, the post office problems are, claiming bankruptcy. I mean, it's just one thing after another. And I keep telling people, this country was built on individuals. It was built on a government that worked for the people, not the other way around. And right now, we just got a government on both sides of the political thing that are just, they live in their own little world. Like you look at Obamacare. Why isn't Obamacare good enough for the people that passed the bill onto us? They don't have to live under it. Why? That should be enough to let people know there's something weird about that bill. But here we go. We got half the people in this country that just they're ostriches. They just put their head in the sand and it's blah 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 blah. As long as I get my teeth. And I love to go back to a socialist prime minister called Maggie Thatcher, who said the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money.
Exactly. So do you think, I mean, this is over an arc of 50, 60 years that we've seen, that we're seeing the activist government model here in the United States, really since probably the New Deal, maybe 70 or 80 years, if you want to go back quite that far, but certainly ramping up in the late 1950s, early 1960s. And do you think that part of this is just the fact that Americans just aren't terribly well educated on civics? I was speaking with Richard Dreyfuss, a very liberal actor. This is about 2 or 3 years ago. I think he actually came out to CPAC, which is a very conservative event. Good for him.
Sure.
We had a great conversation. We put it up at Hot Air, and I mean his issue was my issue, is that we don't teach enough about civics. Now he may get a different lesson from civics, but he was talking about really good, honest, nonpartisan civics instruction. It just doesn't take place in the United States any longer.
Yeah, I mean, look at just back to public education. What are they teaching? They aren't teaching anything. There's a video out there where students were asked, I mean, kids, not students, but they're all under 25 years of age on Venice Beach, where they were talking about Hitler, and I was shocked that the number of them didn't even know what Hitler was.
Yeah.
They're going, who's Hitler? I'm going, what? Really? I mean, that's just shocking to me. But this is what's happening. We're just dumbing down our kids. We're celebrating mediocrity, and here's the deal. The Democrats found out, back in the '60s. Definitely it was in the '60s for sure. Where all they got to do is promise people free stuff, and they'll get voted for. And unfortunately, that's just been magnified over and over again. I'm sure that LBJ was his intentions were noble and good when he passed the Welfare Act back then in 64, 65, whenever it was. And but look what we've done. We put generations now of people that just depended on the government. We wrecked an entire class of people in our African Americans. Where now 78% of these kids are being raised without a father. And because LBJ said, hey, look, as long as there's not a man in the house, we'll take care of you. So what's going on in the black community is you get 5, 6 different kids from one woman from 5, 6 different fathers. And by the time she's 24, 25, I mean, that's their income, that's their job, that's how they learn how to make a living. And it's like, wow, we're telling people just to have kids and we'll take care of them. I mean, it's very strange.
Well,
it's very strange.
And we actually were going in the right direction for a while. In the 1990s, Bill Clinton and the congressional Republicans got together, reformed the welfare system, at least to some extent, and we're reversing some of those things, and we seem to have gotten right back into it. The disability rolls are at sky high because people can't find jobs, and so they're entering into the disabled class. And so, yeah, I mean, these are all cultural issues. Culture comes before politics. Culture drives politics, and these are cultural issues. We have changed the American culture from a private sector driven society to a public sector driven society. And I think that this is, Alongside Night is one of the rare forms of entertainment that actually address that dichotomy. And rather than just assume that the public sector drives American culture.
Yeah, I mean, people got to take it for what it is. I mean, we operate obviously on a very low budget.
Of course, right? Yeah. I mean, this is independent. This is independent filmmaking. This is grassroots distribution. Absolutely.
Yeah, because he's not going to get funding from so many different sources, and I don't want this movie to be seen.
No.
But it's what's interesting about politicians today is they can do and say anything they want, and there really doesn't seem to be any repercussions for it now, and they know it. Obama can go on the air and talk about, I'm going to do this and that, and he does absolutely nothing. And, where's the uproar in the media? I mean, you're finally seeing some people get to the point and say, this is enough. Come on. You say you're going to do action, there's no action here. But I just look at, one after another with these promises they make, and nothing happens. So I don't know. This is a movie that hopefully will wake up a few people. Once again, I hope it's not just preaching to the choir. I hope people go there with somewhat try to have an open mind and look at it and have a discussion open up after they do it.
I agree, and it's your wife is in this film, and you got a good cast here. Good, looks like a fun cast, and so yeah, this is happening, folks, and you can make it happen. You can follow the links in the show post, and you can find out where the screenings are in your area, and if there aren't any, well, you can find out how you can be the person to get to make those arrangements.